All right, one of my new best friends because I just love the content and what he has to say. And I just told Keith Eliou moments ago, everybody loves to talk real estate. I got into a conversation with some buddies of mine at a recording studio yesterday just talking about real estate because I was doing a little work for Keith. You're going to be hearing this ad on KDKA in the next couple of weeks. And it's amazing what you can do when it comes to real estate. And Keith, I think the thing that we all came away with yesterday, everything that's happening in the world today, no matter the price of homes or not, real estate is still your single best investment that anybody can make. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, real estate's traditionally been a great way to build wealth. You buy a house, you build some equity, you sell it for more money, and you buy a bigger house and you build some more equity. And with the exception of the around 2008, 2009, when we had the mortgage meltdown and the bust, property values actually went down. And people with homes with a line of credit, the banks were freezing those lines. But outside of that, it's been nothing but up. It takes years and years, but it's a great way to build wealth. And we were talking about how Pennsylvania just recognized 1031 exchanges.
Explain that to the audience.
Yeah. So if you buy an investment property and you pay $100,000 for it, and then you sell it and get $200,000, but what you do is immediately buy another property. This is an oversimplification, but you take the money from the sale and you invest it into another like-kind property, you could defer the federal capital gains tax. You don't. It's like an IRA. The tax gets deferred for down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania never recognized that. So if you had an investment property, you had to pay the Pennsylvania capital gains tax. But this week, House Bill 1342 was passed, and now you can defer the state capital gains tax too. So it's another good thing for people to buy investment real estate.
The other thing that you told me, this is why he's the go-to guy, and he was going to be the second call. So I was talking to a real estate friend of mine about a piece of property down the road from where I live, 120,000, single bedroom, small, just a little bungalow type of home. And I said, look, maybe I'll check it out on Thursday. He said, I'm telling you, Rob, in this market, you may want to come sooner. And I'm like, well, what's a matter of a couple of days? Well, it was gone the next day. And right away I said, Keith, explain to me. And what you told me, I think the audience needs to understand when they're looking at prices now and there's a little sticker shock. If you can get something for this type of price, it's a pretty hot property. And if you like it, you better grab it.
Well, it's the old real estate saying that while you're sleeping on whether or not you're going to buy the property, somebody else is sleeping in it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's if you've got a property and it's priced reasonably, and it's under $200,000. I mean, you can't take a $100,000 house and price it at $200,000. That's not going to work.
Mm-mm.
But if it's within the realm of reason, in fact, you may want to price it, conservatively, not underprice it, because it could get bid up in a bidding battle to a number that you never thought you would get. So those properties are going fast. First-time homebuyer properties,
Quick.
Doesn't mean all properties are going quick. I mean, but I can tell you, I ran the statistics again. In June, 1,541 properties in Allegheny County were sold in the month of June.
Okay.
Active listings as of a couple of days ago in Allegheny County,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 2,125. So there's about a month and a third supply. That's not much. And the average days on market for houses, again, Allegheny County, was 27 days.
That's like, and maybe it's not in your career, but to me, that's unheard of. Because usually it's like, boy, my house has been up for sale for 6 months. But I mean, average 27 days?
Yeah. Now there were some houses on the market for 376 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, those are typically the higher priced houses, more bedrooms, more bathrooms, and we're talking about multi-million-dollar houses. They're going to take more time because there are fewer people to buy that. But if you've got a property, the average, again, Allegheny County at 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, the average listing price was $310, and the average sales price was $313. So over the asking price.
So when you look at this is why you need Keith, 412-921-7100. We're going to let you know everything about him and who he is, but this is why you need someone who understands it from the legal aspect, from the real estate aspect. Just pricing your house at the right price has so much to do with whether or not you're going to be able to move on to that next chapter.
Yeah, I mean, there are automated valuation models out there, and I use them sometimes. And Zillow has this Z estimate. Sometimes they're probably 50% right 75% of the time. I mean, it's a starting point. You really need to have somebody, a local broker, to go through the house and take a look and compare. Behind your house, you may have a level yard with lots of trees and private, or you could have the railroad track behind you. Now, of course, shady side, that makes your house worth more money. But
I can understand that. I like the railroad.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? That those automated models are nothing but a starting point, and you really have to go and see the house. I mean, you go into two houses that are the same size, and one is in much better condition than the other. It's going to be worth a lot more money.
All right, tell the folks who you are and what you do, because there's always those first-time listeners, and this is the guy, I'm telling you, he really can handle all angles, and he can save you a lot of money. And let's face it, everybody likes to save money, and he can do it for you. Tell him about it.
Well, and that's what our focus is. My name's Keith Eliou, and I'm an attorney. I'm a real estate broker, a certified financial planner, registered investment advisor. I've got an insurance agency. But what I do basically two things. I do real estate. So I have a real estate company. We list houses. We sell houses. We've got special options to help people save money. We've got different models, and that's what we'd encourage people, especially if, and I want to talk to people out there that may be dealing with an estate, personal representatives, or heirs. I've got some stories to tell you about that. Or if you're getting divorced and you want to keep more equity from the sale of the house, if you have to sell your house, we help people save money. So we can list it, we can sell it, we finance it. I've got a mortgage company called Advocate Mortgage. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars in mortgages over decades, do all kinds, conventional FHA, VA, fixed rates, adjustable rates, first-time home buyers. We've got all the different products, and we shop the market. We're a mortgage banker, so we don't collect payments. We're not big enough to really do that, but we can originate the loan. We can structure the loan, and I want to talk about that a little bit. And then I do title work and closings. So that's the real estate end of it. We also do elder law and help people that are going into nursing homes, or if you're in a nursing home, people think, well, it's too late now. It's not too late. You can save money. We can help you protect your assets from the cost of long-term care, which, the average cost is, according to the government, is $14,676 a month, $482.50 a day. That's, you're going to go broke. And if you have your life savings, you've saved $300,000 or $400,000, you're going to be broke in a couple of years. And you don't have to be. So we do estate planning, we do elder law, we deal with estates, and in fact, I had a couple of calls this week where we had transactions where one quick story: the son inherits a house from dad. The house is worth $400,000. There's a $200,000 reverse mortgage on it, a $10,000 gift to a charity, and the son says, "Well, I really want the house, but I don't have any money." Well, he doesn't need any money. If you inherit the house, you have an ownership interest in the house. We can refinance that. We can use the $400,000 value. We can pay off the reverse mortgage. We can give the charity the $10,000. You're going to probably have inheritance tax too, that 4.5%. And in that kind of situation, a lot of people don't realize this. Even some estate planning attorneys, there's transfer tax on that. And usually, there's not transfer tax from a parent to a child. Yeah, the government comes after you, and they want every pound of flesh that they can get. And so you're going to have transfer tax to the extent of the mortgage. But you're going to finance all that.
So do you have a life other than real estate? There's so many things going on. I mean, I'm just sitting here like amazed with all these different aspects of the law that's out there right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I deal with two separate, two different areas, basically real estate and estate law.
Big spectrums, right?
And they interrelate. I mean, lots of transactions have a house involved. And so it all goes together.
Well, the best part, and by the way, KeithEliou.com, 412-921-7100. We will open the phones up in a little bit if you have some questions, especially when it comes to elder law. But the thing that's great about you is somebody sitting across the table from you, and you have not just that question for them, but more cases than not, especially if it's an elder law or a state situation, you've got the answer for them, so they don't have to go to 2 to 3 places to get everything, the knowledge that they need to get on with their life.
Well, I don't know a lot of things, but I kind of know where to look. So
and that's the key.
Yeah. So if I don't have the answer off the top of my head, I can find it.
We're going to get to some of those elder law topics, also helping people sell, buy, mortgage, all sorts of things, close on residential real estate. He does it all. KeithEliou.com, 412-921-7100. We'll be back. All right, we're back with Keith Eliou. By the way, if you're listening right now and you were in that estate planning situation, or you're wondering about that house that your parents have and they're headed towards a nursing home, or your mom or dad is, and you're thinking $14,000 a month, I got to sell their house. Look, there are ways to get that care and not have to touch what your parents have worked for their entire life. So if you have any questions about that, gift giving, estate planning, call us. If you have anything about buying or selling or setting the price on your house, or you're just thinking about what's the first step if you're thinking about buying a home or selling your home, all of our lines are open. Keith will take your calls right now. The number is 866-391-1020, 866-391-1020. Okay, so we hit a little bit on what to do as far as the buying and selling process is concerned. Before we move on to elder law, anything else that you want to discuss when it comes what people need to do, buying and selling?
Well, again, if they want options, we've got programs that can save them tens of thousands of dollars. And I know people hear that and they think, well, yeah, right. Let me give you a quick idea. If you've got a $500,000 house and you want to sell it, and the standard commissions say 5%, that's $25,000. It's a lot of. It's the price of a car, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to do it that way. We've got a program where you pay us $1,500 to get into the multi-list, and we pay us by the hour for services that you need, and it's not uncontrollable, and it's a very reasonable rate. We charge $85 to $95 an hour. More than likely, you've got the opportunity to sell your house for maybe $2,500, $3,000 on the listing side instead of $12,500, and you might not have to pay the selling agent. That's the other half of the commission. So. If you're in a divorce, if you've got a house with an estate, and the equity, you want to keep the equity, it's a program you should look at. And if you're a buyer, we've got programs where we're picking up closing costs up to $5,500 for buyers. So if you want to buy a house and you need a real estate broker, we could ask your real estate broker that you're working with if they'll pay your closing costs. We started about $2,000 and goes up to $5,500. So we've got options. If you don't want those programs, you don't have to have them. But we're about saving folks money and giving them superior representation.
Explain that.
Well, I'm an attorney, and I've got a mortgage company. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've done hundreds of maybe thousands of closings. I know I've issued thousands of title policies. So I know the business from the beginning to the end. And you would think this isn't that hard. A lot of people say, I'll just sell it on my own. Well, there are pitfalls. I mean, here's one stupid little pitfall: that you're selling your house. You need a dye test in order for the municipality to release the sewage lien letter, right? If you don't get the dye test done, you're going to back up the closing. And I got to tell you, I've dealt with some closing companies in the past, and it's amazing how you can make a mess out of something that really shouldn't be. I believe in preparation. I've got information on my site, or if people want to call me or email me, I've got guides for buyers, guides for sellers to tell you how to prepare, and how, if you're going to buy a house, there's a method to it. You don't just go driving around and say, oh, that's a pretty house. Let me go and see. You've got to decide what you want, make a plan, know how much it's going to cost.
So here's the question. A lot of people right now are listening, getting ready to sell a house or buy a house. And they're saying, well, how can he be so much more reasonable than what we're being told when it comes to closing costs? Is it because you do so much that you're able to do that and you understand the law a little bit better? Just explain why you can save them thousands of dollars when it comes to just closing costs.
Well, one thing, I own the company. So I've got a little more.
You can control it.
I can control it. Plus, I've got the mortgage company. I've got the title work. So if you put them all together, if you bundle that, we give you a break. We're not greedy. We'll give you, for example, we've got a program with sellers that if we list your house and a buyer comes, or a neighbor says, hey, Rob, I've got somebody who wants to buy your house. Well, you get their information, you call us, we'll call them, we'll talk to them, we'll give them the information, and if at the end of that they say, great, thanks very much, they can buy your house and you don't have to pay a selling agent commission. So that's half the commission if they don't have another agent. Now, if they say, well, I don't have another agent, but I need some help, well, we'll give you a break. We'll share that half of the commission, the selling half. People really still don't understand how commissions work. When a seller agrees to pay a commission, there's two parts to it. There's the listing side and the selling side. The listing side's the side and that's typically the half of a commission. That's what you pay to the company that puts your house on the market. The selling agent commission is the commission, the side for the buyer, whoever brings the buyer. And people get confused because sometimes the same broker, you have a broker and then you have different real estate agents. The broker company may be the same as the broker that the listing company and the selling company may be the same broker, but it's just slicing and dicing in different ways.
Well, here's the thing. So if I'm out looking for a house,
yeah,
and I know Keith Eliou from this show, or I know you personally, and I go, I don't want to be involved in any of the negotiations. I just want you to call this real estate company. You be the go-between. You get back to me. You be my mouthpiece. Can you do that?
We have programs for people that want to sell on their own. If you say, look, I just need a little bit of help. Yeah, we'll do an hour consultation for you. If you say, look, I want you to represent us, but we don't want to be in the multi-list. Okay, that's fine. We can do that too. Options. We give you options. We don't have the traditional model, which is an expense. Yeah, we do have the traditional model, but it's your option. If you want to go down that path, and some people say they throw their hands up because they get confused and they say, I'll just do that, and that's fine. But we give you the opportunity to save money. And
how many people have come to you after maybe this is their first transaction? Forget the first, but it's their second, and they realize how much easier it was than the traditional first time by going through that real estate agent who works for a company.
Yeah, well, it's never a problem till it's a problem, and that's when you find out, and that's when you find out you're losing money. I'm a proponent of sellers getting appraisals and home inspections, and I tell them all, half of them listen to me, half of them don't. That's okay, but it makes it very tough to negotiate when a buyer's got an appraisal and a home inspection and you don't, and you're the seller, and they want $10,000.
And I also think, too, there's that fine line between fact and fiction. What the real story is. Somebody's telling you one thing, but in reality, the law in real estate is another thing. If you're talking to the buyer and you're the seller or vice versa, you need somebody there who can actually kind of get through the smoke. You know what I'm saying? And get to the facts.
Well, brokers can help keep transactions together. They keeping the seller and the buyer apart is sometimes a very good thing because your clients get emotional about it. And it's not in their best interest.
Let's take this phone call, and we've got John who's on the line. And by the way, if you want to talk to Keith, buying, selling, elder law attorney questions, whatever, call us. The lines are open, 866-391-1020. Our first call of the day is John calling from Gettysburg. You're on KDKA. Hi, John.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
How you doing?
Good. What's your question?
I can retire right now. I get a lump sum of about $450,000, plus I get another pension. If I bought, say, 3 houses with that $450,000 and rented them out, does all that money that I collect in rent become income, or can I write it off somehow?
Well, if you have residential real estate, you're going to file a Schedule E, and if it makes money, you're going to pay income tax on it.
So you're going to pay income tax on all the rent that you...
Well, rent less your expenses. I mean, you're going to have taxes, insurance, maintenance, so you get to deduct your expenses. And I'm not a tax attorney, so and I don't know your particular tax situation. But traditionally, if you've got rental income and it's positive rental income, you're going to pay income tax on that. Do you know if you can appreciate the houses? I paid $150,000 for each house. Yeah,
over 10 years.
Right, you can depreciate the property. Then when you sell it, though, don't forget, unless you do a 1031 exchange, there's going to be a recapture, and some of that's going to turn into be ordinary income. So you'll have a capital gain for anything over. This is an oversimplification. Also, there are specific tax rules on how you pay income tax for rental real estate, depending on if you're an active manager or not an active manager. And again, I would defer to your personal accountant for that. But, I mean, the short answer is you're going to have to pay income tax on profits, and you're going to have to pay capital gains tax on a gain, an oversimplification, and you could have ordinary income to the extent of the depreciation.
All right. Hey, John, thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. Listen, if you guys have questions and you want to talk to him about the world of real estate, now would be a great time to call. We have available lines, 866-391-1020. We're going to come back and talk about a number of things. Something else he specializes in. He's an elder law attorney. He's Keith Eliou. You can call him directly, 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100, or KeithEliou.com. All right, back to more of your calls in a moment. If you have a real estate question, elder law question, you can call us at 866-391-1020. Phone's getting a little active. We'll get to them in a moment. But he wants to tell you about something that he is doing in the way of webinars. KeithEliou.com is where you can find them. He does them every Saturday. He archives them. He's going to tell you what they are and what he talks about. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Rob. Yeah, on Saturdays when we're not here on the radio, at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock usually we have webinars, and we go over, they're designed to be 20, 25 minutes. If there are questions, they can go longer. We allow for an hour. We talk about real estate issues. We talk about elder law issues. Next week we're going to have one on Medicare 101. We're going to talk because the open enrollment period, the annual election period, is going to come
October,
up here.
right?
Right. And so we're going to have an hour on that, and then we're also going to do an hour on, I believe, something we're talking about today. If you're an heir or a personal representative and you're trying to sell a house or buy a house, here's another story that transaction I did. Mom inherits part of a house from her dad. She's one of the heirs. There are a couple of other children that are heirs. The children don't want the house, but one of the grandchildren wants the house. Grandchildren don't have any money. So what do? We take mom's share, her inheritance, say it's 25%, and the grandchild, her son, winds up buying the house, and she gives her son her inheritance. Basically, it's called a gift of equity, and her son, the grandson, gets to buy the house with no money.
See, I've been in this game a long time, and this stuff's all new to me. Because I always thought it was pretty much a foregone conclusion, like the one you were talking about earlier, $10,000 credit in the line, the $200,000 reverse mortgage, and you were still able to pull it off and refinance. I mean, this is why people need to they just can't throw their arms up and say, I give up. They need to reach out.
Yeah, well, if you're a personal representative, you're charged with preserving the assets in the estate and distributing them. And what do? I mean, if there's a house, does anybody want the house? And then what if one of the, again, if you're either, you don't even have to be the heir. You can be a family member of one of the heirs and use the heirs. I mean, it's nice if your mother or father and they have an inheritance and they're willing to share that with you. It makes it a great deal for you. So you don't, but the point is you don't necessarily need to have money or a lot of money to buy a house in that kind of a situation.
All right, let's take some calls here with Keith Eliou, KeithEliou.com. Here's James on KDKA. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Rob. I have a question on capital gains tax. We have been on our home a little over 40 years. It would be the first time selling it. Is there a capital gains tax involved?
Well, so you and your wife, is that what it is, own a home?
That's correct.
Well, there's an exclusion for the first $500,000 gain. So if you bought it for $100,000, you sell it for $600,000. There's an exclusion if you lived there for the last 2 out of 5 and owned it for 2 out of 5. So, yeah,
we've been in it, like I said, over 40, and that's our first home we bought.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if there's any kind of tax involved.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a tax attorney, but that's pretty well settled. That there's $250 exclusion for an individual, $500,000 exclusion for a married couple.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you so much. Great program.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, yeah, good stuff, Keith. KeithEliou.com. By the way, that's ELIOU.com. All right, Susie up next for Keith on KDKA. Good morning, Susie.
Good morning, Rob, and good morning to your guests. I have a question. Actually, listening to your show, I learned so much listening to KDKA. But what it is that when my mom passed, we all were telling her for years and years, Mom, you need to have a living will, and she wouldn't do it. So it all reverts back to her remaining children. And my question is this. Would it make more sense for me to keep my 25%? My mom lived in Finleyville, PA for 50 years, and the estate was sold by a co-op maker. I can mention that on the air. And I'm not getting personal with it. It's just that, I want to not invest in what my mother gave me. Just keep it and buy a house and just let it accrue, because reverse mortgages, like you were saying, it's a win-win situation all the way around. If I decide whatever house I'm going to purchase, whatever city I'm going to purchase it in, then I could do a reverse mortgage and not owe anything, but I couldn't sell the house, right?
No.
until I pay back the loan.
Well, you could sell the house, and when you sell the house, the mortgage would get paid off.
Right. But I want to keep it, So for me, like I said, that living will that I have now with my children is very important. But my mother was old school, as they say. And she just felt like when my mom and dad never divorced, and there was 9 of us, 7 boys and 2 girls, I'm the baby girl. And after she passed away in 2020 after taking care of my brother, and from prostate cancer. But for me, she always said to me, she said, Susie, he said, when I go, he said, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Okay, Susie. I hope that helped. Hey, listen, we appreciate the call. And if anybody wants to give us a call, 866-391-1020, 866-391-1020, 412-921-7100. It seems like the ongoing message when it comes to elder law is what to do with mom and dad's house if they end up going into a nursing home. And in most cases, especially the generation now a little older than me, most of them got the traditional 30-year mortgage, signed, sealed, and delivered, school taxes, and some repair, and pretty much it's owned by them. But a lot of people, because they're, when the bill came in, they paid it right away. Right. They're thinking, well, that's what we saved the money for. Let's give it to the nursing home, or let's sell the house and use the profit. But people need to understand there are ways that you can hang on to that because of the sweat equity that went into it all those years. We know what it's like to put in 30 years of work, Keith. You got to get something, and you want to leave something to your children. And an elder attorney can help you navigate what you need to do to make the system work for everybody, and your family and your heirs can reap the benefits of your hard work.
Right. Well, and I get this call every week. If somebody that their parents, or I got a call this week from somebody whose husband's probably going to have to go into long-term care, and they wanted to put she wanted to put her house into a trust. And the house is protected while you're alive. The house is not.
They can't touch your house.
It's not subject to the payment for nursing home costs. Now, when you pass away, there's a thing called estate recovery, where the government can come back, Medicaid can come back and give you the bill, and you have to pay when you sell the house. You have to pay the bill from the nursing home first. But you can protect the house. You can structure it so we can transfer the house. In fact, if one spouse is going into the nursing home, usually what we do is we transfer the house to the healthy spouse that's at home. They're called the community spouse. That's one of the first things you do, and you want to kind of do that early, even before, if you have a heads up, before they go into a nursing home. The children, if you have children, a child caregiver that lives in the house has kept you out of the nursing home, there's a way to transfer the house to them. If you've got a sibling that's lived with you for a year and been on title for over 5, if you've got a disabled child, a minor child, that doesn't come up very often. But there are exemptions to transfer the house and protect the house.
All right, let's talk about your mortgage company, Advocate Mortgage. Shops for the lowest rate and fees. Let's talk about them a little bit before we get back to the calls and come back and talk about a number of things, including home inspections. But don't forget these webinars. He does them every Saturday, then he archives them. KeithEliou.com. You can also call. He's always working, so he'll get back to you. 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100. Talk about your mortgage company.
Advocate Mortgage. It's been in business for decades. Again, we do all kinds of loans, conventional FHA, VAs, fixed rates, adjustable rates, first-time home buyers. And there are down payment assistance programs, for if you're a certain kind of first-time home buyer, meet the income requirements. And a lot of folks don't really understand. We talked a little bit about what's it cost to buy a house and how can you structure it. There's more than just adding up the numbers and saying, okay, you need this much money. A lot of people still think you need 20% down. You don't need 20% down. We do 5% down conventionals. We do 100% VA loan. There are issues with FHAs and VAs. They're government loans. They take longer. You lose a little bit of control. But on a conventional loan, you can do 5% down. But you also need closing. Well, you can do 3% if you're a first-time home buyer. But you need money for closing costs and prepaids. What are closing costs? Closing costs are things like transfer tax. And in the city of Pittsburgh, the buyer share is 2.5%. That's just the buyer share. The city wants 5% to transfer a property. It's outrageous. I think it's the highest in the state. But so if you're buying or selling in the city, that's 2.5% right off the bat. Then you need money for title insurance, appraisal, credit reports, processing fees, underwriting fees, recording fees. I usually tell people you better plan for about, if you're in an area where the transfer tax is 1.25%, you probably better plan for 3% for that. And then you need a year of taxes and insurance.
All right, we're going to come back. We've got more calls for Keith. If you want to call him, 412-921-7100, KeithEliou.com. JamFest, presented by UPMC, and UPMC Health Plan is back this year and taking place on August 6th at the North Park Basketball Court, supporting Folds of Honor. This 3-on-3 basketball tournament is open to all sexes, grades 3 through 12, plus an adult division. Register for your team now at KDKARadio.com. Hey, before we take Ron in the South Hills, do me one favor. I asked you this question off the air, and I think it's pertinent, especially with your mortgage company, Advocate Mortgage. Can you actually roll your closing cost and your down payment and other fees into your financing, your mortgage? Can you do that?
Yes.
Quickly. I don't know, maybe you need more time than quickly, but
no. Yeah. Here's a quick example. A house is selling for $100,000. Just to pick a number, and you want to finance your closing costs. You tell the seller, look, I'm going to pay you $103,000. Seller says, great. Well, no, you have to pay $3,000 of my closing costs. So you still get your $100,000, but I've effectively financed my closing costs. So now the house has to appraise for the higher number. That hasn't been an issue for years. But that's how you finance it. You just add the closing costs. Now there's a limit. If you're doing 5% on conventional loan, 3% is what the seller's allowed to pay. If you put down 10%, they can pay 6%. So if you're putting down more money, so you can make the sales price 106, and you're going to put down 10% from the $106,000, you effectively finance 90% of the other $6,000. And that's how you do it. In fact, on FHAs and VAs, they do it all the time. We do it all the time. Because you go with an FHA or VA loan because you don't have any money. That's one of the issues. So you raise the sales price.
See, my old adage, the advantage I think of owning a home is to get into the home, you begin to build equity right away. You might have to put a little bit more down payment, but if you can kind of help yourself with some of those add-ons like closing costs and what have you, and you got the home inspection that I wanted to talk about a little bit. And if we don't get to it this time, he's back July 23rd at noon and then August 6th at 8 a.m. So he'll be here on multiple occasions over the next couple of months. But what you need to do is to call him directly if you have any questions, 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100, or go to KeithEliou.com. Ron, you're on KDK with Keith Eliou. Good morning. How are you?
Very good, thank you, and thank you, gentlemen, for taking the call. It's a great program. I have a question about reverse mortgages. They're being advertised all the time, and I don't have one. I don't need one yet, but someday I may. And it's my understanding if you do get a reverse mortgage somehow or the other, they may or may not be protected from eventual nursing homes, but that's why I'm asking.
Well, a reverse mortgage is a loan, and what happens is the mortgage company gives you a hunk of money, and then they just keep adding interest on it until it's paid off. So, in the event that you would pass away, and the nursing home it's not really a nursing home that comes back to get paid. It's the state, because the state paid the nursing home, so the state presents the bill to the estate and says, "Hey, here's what you owe us." But of course, the mortgage would have to get paid off first.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, the mortgage itself would be paid before the nursing home would come in and take what's left.
Right. They get the equity to the extent that there is equity. I don't know if you've heard us before, but I'm not a fan of reverse mortgages. They're very expensive. It's my opinion that you tap the reverse mortgage as a last resort, and they don't really give you. In the past, they give you up to 80% of the value. Now, if you're 60 or 70 years old, well, you got to be at least 62, right? They'll give you maybe half the value of the property. So, it's got limitations, and you got to watch the costs because the costs are buried in there, and you may have $4,000 or $5,000 of costs for a $100,000 loan. So, I'd get the details if you want to go down that path.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your program and your information.
You betcha.
All right, so I asked you off the air. This is, folks, I wish you could be with us on and off the air because it's so much good content and information. I said our home inspection is a good thing. You said yes, but it always seems to be a problem when it comes to getting the deal done. Why is that?
It's the number one cause of deals being terminated. The buyer's got a free play basically for about I'd say an average of 3 weeks, but whether or not they want to buy your house. Now you're a seller, you're tied up, and you're waiting, wondering, is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And what do you do when the buyer has an appraisal? They have a home inspection. They come to you and say, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, hey, I need $10,000 because of this and this and this and this. If you had spent $500, $600, and gotten a home inspection, you could have disclosed that and excluded it from the contract. disclose and exclude. You can draft the contract so that anything in that isn't a reason for termination, because it's a very low bar for a buyer to terminate a deal. If there's something that's unsatisfactory, what does that mean? It doesn't even have to be reasonable. So I believe that, and in fact, in our program, if you list your house with us, and we do the traditional commission-based model, we're going to pay up to $1,000. We're going to reimburse you up to $1,000 for you to get an appraisal and a home inspection. We believe in it that much. So you're not going to ultimately pay it. We're going to ultimately take that hit.
Listen, so much more we could have gotten to, but I always like to give you the last couple of minutes just to let everybody know what you do, who you are, and in my opinion, if it's buying or selling, you need Keith Eliou. 412-921-7100, 412-921-7100, KeithEliou.com.
Yeah, we're located in Greentree, and so we can do all of Allegheny and the surrounding counties, but we do a lot of work in South Hills. If you're a personal representative dealing with a house to sell, if you're in the middle of a divorce and there's a house that has to be sold, we'd appreciate you calling us and talking to us. We'll give you no cost, no obligation consultation, and discuss the transaction and discuss the potential issues and how we can save you money. Again, we've got options that can save you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, depending on what model you want to pick. We've got guides. We've got lots of information on our website, books for people that are concerned about nursing home costs, books for people that are selling their house, guides for buyers and sellers. We've got a great guide for buyers that gives you lots of details about the steps that you should follow so you have a methodology of buying the new house.
And if you are at that point, you're the caregiver, you're the one that's going to be handling the estate, you have the power of attorney, and you're at that crossroads, you need Keith Eliou, of course, elder law attorney as well.
Yeah, we can protect assets from the nursing home costs. We can't necessarily save it all, but again, even if you're in a nursing home or about to go to a nursing home, it's not too late. That
little percentage that Pittsburgh wants, that kind of got your dander up a little bit, didn't it?
Well, you file a piece of paper. I mean, that's all it is. If it was a private industry, they'd be regulating it. They'd call it, part of the RICO Act. It's, the 5% to transfer a piece of property.
This is the guy who fights for you. He's plugged in on all angles. He can get it done, and he's going to save you thousands of dollars. And in the end, that's what it's all about. Tell them about the webinars, then we'll say goodbye. Go ahead.
Yeah, Saturdays, usually at 9 and 10 o'clock, short webinars. If you've got a topic that you'd like us to discuss, email me at keith@keitheliou.com or give me a call, 412-921-7100. We do real estate topics. We do estate law topics, elder law topics, short webinars. You can ask questions, and they're recorded and archived on our website, KeithEliou.com. It's
July 23rd at noon, August 6th at 8 a.m. So really excited. He'll be here multiple times over the next couple of weeks. Really looking forward to that. Busy time for the real estate industry, and we've got the perfect guest with us again, July 23rd at noon, August 6th at 8 a.m. and monthly. He is Keith Eliou. You can reach him at 412-921-7100. You can call that number today, 412-921-7100 or KeithEliou.com.
Pittsburgh Pirates fans, the baseball season is heating up, and when it's time for game day, Ticketmaster's got your tickets into the ballpark for all the action. Ticketmaster has a wide selection of tickets available at competitive prices, so you can score your favorite seats to catch the Pirates live all season long. Whether you're looking for tickets to a game happening next month, next week, tomorrow, or today, you can find tickets at Ticketmaster, even for those game day decisions. From the anticipation when the bases are loaded at the bottom of the ninth to the walk-off home runs, game-ending strikeouts, and career-defining moments for your favorite player, you can catch every pivotal play live. Don't miss out on any of the action going down at the park this season. Grab your favorite Pirates baseball cap and get ready to cheer them on live in the stands on game day. Score tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/MLB. That's Ticketmaster.com/MLB.
July 4th savings are popping up now at Lowe's, like the smart Whirlpool top-load washer in the exclusive chrome shadow color found only at Lowe's. With a 2-in-1 removable agitator, you can customize any load, get the extra space you need to wash bulky items, and reinsert for a gentle yet thorough clean. Shop online or in-store for up to $750 in savings on select major appliances. Lowe's, all things summer, all at the right price. See Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 7/13.
Introducing the new 3-for-1 bundle from Xfinity. Save big on unlimited internet and streaming when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply.
In 1970, a 28-year-old recent law school graduate became the most wanted woman in America. She's also my mother. I'm Zaid Ayers-Dorn, host of the new podcast, Mother Country Radicals. When I was growing up, my parents were on the run from the FBI, at war with the U.S. government. From Crooked Media and Odyssey, Mother Country Radicals, a family history of the Weather Underground. Listen to the entire first season of Mother Country Radicals right now, here on Odyssey. On Odyssey. On Odyssey. On Odyssey. On Odyssey.